Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Well, I just finished a wheelbarrow. I'll show you what I had to do to it. This is the wheelbarrow that my father-in-law used to trench out his basement. A room about 10 by 20, 8 feet deep. So he took every little bit of that dirt out of that room with his wheelbarrow. That guy was a man. Now when we bought our house over in Quincy, we bought it and it was sitting on a hill. Of course, it was winter time. I didn't know it was sitting on a hill. It was April 23rd of 1979 when we moved into that house. That was the year of the big snow. By the time the snow melted, I found out that the house was sitting on top of an 8-foot hill that was level over with snow. The sign that was out in the front yard that I thought was about a foot out of the ground was actually 10 feet. The snow just filled in around the legs. It was sitting on 6x6s out in the side yard, a big 4x8 sheet of plywood sitting on 6x6s. So I was a little concerned as I watched the snow go down and down and down and down and down, realizing that there was a pond in the backyard. I didn't know if the pond surrounded the house. I'd already paid for it. I'd already signed the papers on the mortgage, and it was my house. Never buy a house under those conditions. It worked out okay. The area between my house and the next lot was just a low spot, and it was a drain for the county road, and it didn't cause any problems because it wasn't really a ditch. It was just a spot with grass on it for the water to run down to the pond. By the time I was done, I had this wheelbarrow heaped full of stones. I'd gone down about 1.5 feet, and I had maybe a cup full of soil. So I said, well, that's obviously not going to work. I spent the next year hauling in dirt by the pickup load and dumping it on the front yard, spreading it out by hand. And I used this wheelbarrow all the time. I hauled rocks with it, I hauled dirt with it, I hauled seed with it, I hauled everything with it. My mother-in-law gave it to me and said, here, you need this more than I do. And I've kept it since then. But now, after who knows how many years, that would have been a good 57 years. But now, after 57 years, the tire finally gave out. The wheelbarrow itself is still in great shape, but the tire gave out. So I'm going to wash out the crap out of the inside of this, and then I'll get it into the garage and get the tire changed. This is a well-made wheelbarrow, and it's very old. You can tell that because it's got square nuts on the bolts. They stopped using square nuts about the time I was born. I use this copper hammer. Won't damage the end of the threads. There we go. Might make it a tad easier if I just loosen up the bolts on the other side. pretty well mudded onto there. We'll take the copper hammer and drive the steel punch in there and drive that axle out this side. There. Got the axle right out of there. Clean up the axle a bit. There, that's got that cleaned up. They look to be the same size rim and the same size hub, but I don't know if they're an exact match.
That's what you get for making assumptions. Appearances can be deceiving.
I want to drive that lower bearing out and the upper bearing out the opposite direction. See if I can do it this way. Well, that's got the bearing out. Now the bearings in this wheel are in much better shape. There's one. I greased this bearing a lot. Now I'll just see if I can drive those bearings back into this wheel. First I need to wipe off this grease. And this is just dirt on the outside. I think what I'll do is I'll clamp these in the vise and take the wire brush to the outside. Do something that's kind of nasty. I'm going to take this rag and just sacrifice it. Yeah, that's the kind of crap that comes out of it. And no, I don't throw the rags away. I put them in a 5-gallon bucket full of soapy water and set them outside in the sun and wash them out the old-fashioned way, by hand. I guarantee if you put those in a washing machine, you will regret it. No doubt about it.
I could have used a socket or a piece of pipe or anything else to drive that bearing in, which probably would have worked better, but the punch did it.
There we go. Nice and solid. There. I do have to clean off that grease zerk, because if I don't do that, there's a pretty good chance I'll pump some of that junk right back into the hub. Oh, there's going to be a little bit of junk in there. Just no way around it. It's going to be in that zerk. It's going to be around the area. Why that grease is in there. That's crusted on.
Spending an inordinate amount of time trying to salvage this wheel. Well, actually, not really, because when you figure what the price of this wheel was against the $40 that a new one was at Harbor Freight, which admittedly is a crappy wheel to start with, it's not such a bad thing to spend a little time cleaning it up.
If I have the opportunity, I will do as good a job as possible to make things look nice. What the hey?
Yep, I just realized that the hub on this wheel is narrower than the hub on the other wheel. Son of a gun, it's not going to fit. Now what do I do?
I can see I got an issue going right here. This hub is not going to go in far enough to make that fit. I got another 1/4 inch that I can go. And then this is going to slide back and forth like that. I'm going to have to washer the dickens out of that thing, because this hub is narrower. Didn't see that coming. Okay, is what it is. I need some washers.
Actually, I need about 1 1/4 inches worth of bushings. So, it's off to the basement, where my friend the Southman will help me make bushings to fit. It's nice to have a custom machine shop in the basement. Just wish the guy working down there was a little nicer. Always grumpy. From back in the kid days when we were making mini bikes and go-karts, I remember that the bore on a piece of 1/2 inch Schedule 40 water pipe is just about 9/16, and if I run a 5/8 drill bit down through it, it's going to match that axle diameter exactly. All I have to do is cut the thing off with a hacksaw, trim it to length, drill it, and go from there. It looks like I'm being a lot more precision than I really am. This is more like yardstick tolerance.
Two spacers, 5/8 of an inch long. That'll center the wheel up between the frames. Spacer on. Now I slide the other spacer on. Hopefully this slips on a little easier. There we go. There. The bolt up through there. The back bolt up in. Slide the lock washer on.
While I'm watching this, I'm wondering, should I dye my hair? Or maybe get a toupee like Terrell.
And this rim is still good, but since I got that other rim from the garage sale out there at Hickory Corners, I don't need this one right now. So I'm going to set it aside and we'll come back to it when I have more time. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.